let's get it on. Ooh, 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 ooh. Let's get down to business. Let's lay out some people. Let's get it on. Let me get this chat on tonight. Welcome in everybody to Vegas Rosie, your Sunday night sports wrap up for sports handicapping, YouTube's first and only, be a hater if you want, transgender sports handicapper here. And tonight it is football night in America. Let's see if this is gonna come on over here. Wait for it. Let's make sure we're live. And yes, we are. So welcome aboard. We're waiting for our first person. There it is, raw and unfiltered, man. I'm gonna call a spade, pigskins. We're gonna talk. There's Mr. Z, my bag man in Las Vegas. The footman who makes it happen, the guy that makes it happen, the guy that dares to go into those casinos, the Orleans, the El Cortez that smell like Friday night stripper ass, rotten bologna, and stinky cigarettes, man, and venture into that sports books to get it on. What's up, Flan? Good to see you. And James, Flan, my Canadian connection here. She loves that NFL football. What's up, James? There's Kale. There she is, the host with the most. I've never been first. Well, honey, you weren't first tonight. But that doesn't mean that you're not first in my heart. YouTube's first and only transgender sports book handicapper. Okay, try that on for size. Don't be a hater. Hey, if somebody could help me out with my sports betting, I'd be all over top of that too. What's up, Sarah? We're going to let some people come in. We got breaking news in the NCAA football realm tonight. Big news. Did a whole lot of photo workshop while I listened to your last one. We're going to get it on because football this time of year, it is a whole lot of big money. Something like billions and billions of dollars are being wagered on every one of these games. And why some people would wager their hard-earned money on some of the bullshit that I saw this weekend is beyond me. And I saw a lot of games live, and I did a lot of research and did a lot of highlight reel watching, or low light reel watching as the case may be. And I want to tell you what, let's get it right into it with the breaking news tonight. University of Nebraska, Nebraska Cornhuskers, your salvation is at hand. At about 5 p.m. this afternoon, Scott Frost was officially fired, relieved of his duties as head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers football team. The expectations were so high this year when they went and played the game in Dublin, Ireland against Northwestern, all hyped up like a 13-point favorite, and they came home and they got their ass beat. Said, oh, took care of North Dakota the next week and then lost an embarrassing game yesterday. It is over. The Scott Frost era comes to an end. The 49ers, we're going to get down on that too. Do not panic about the 49ers, okay? I don't want to hear a lot of people panicking about that. How you doing, Garrett? There's a bright side to that I'm going to get to tonight, all right? And it has to do, hey, Judy, it has to do with game conditions. It has to do with a wet behind the ears quarterback who did not deliver a bad performance, all things considered, in the unfriendly confines of Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. So, Scott Frost, you're a good guy. I'm sure you're a good man. People speak very highly of you, but there's a big difference between your coaching style, which is everybody's your pal on the football team, and everybody's kumbaya, let's join hands and let's sway from side to side, and let's just have a good old time party, man. Think about what goes on in Alabama. This guy spits fire down there, Nick Saban, and you think that they're having a touchy-feely, ring around the Rosie and things like that? You look at Pat Narduzzi up in Pitt, okay? You think that these guys are having some damn country club when it comes to running a football team? They're going to make these guys sweat like pigs. They're going to make these guys cry like babies. But at the end of the day, they're going to turn them into winners. And let me tell you what, hey, Darla, if you saw that Pitt game and that Tennessee game like my bagman, Mr. Z, and I saw, we saw a game where they were dragging Pitt players off, practically calling 911 every 5 minutes. Every time I turned around, another Pitt player was down. They weren't crying like babies. They're limping around. They had two quarterbacks. The backup quarterback was limping around. This guy still managed to throw a touchdown pass to get it into overtime. Coaching college football takes a tough guy to make tough players. It was brutal, Mr. Z. We saw a game. I was texting you. I said it's a death march in Pittsburgh tonight. I could not believe the way that Tennessee was hitting so hard that they were carting Pittsburgh players off left, right, and center, and Pittsburgh still hung in. They got the depth. They got a coach that scares the living hell out of them when they're playing football. These guys would rather give their left nut than fail on the football field, and they gave it everything they got, and they just didn't come in away with the win. But big fucking deal, because Mr. Z and I cashed on the game. How do you like that? Because we had the Tennessee Volunteers to go in there and take care of business, and they took care of business. They were hitting noggin to noggin. It was a brutal, brutal game. But let's get down to it. So that takes care of Scott Frost at the University of Nebraska. Nobody wanted to pay the money to fly over to Ireland, to be in Dublin, drink Guinness beer, and sit there and watch Nebraska get their asses kicked. But you know, they should have known that that was coming. You know why? You know what the coach's name at Northwestern is? Fitzgerald. All right. The luck of the freaking Irish. Mr. Z and I, the only bet that we ever really missed on all of our bets that haven't hit, that was the most painful because it was so out of the ballpark. So let's get down to it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about betting. We may be joined by the Swami later, a.k.a. Loose 72, and also the Prophet Deja Vu on here, a.k.a. the Prophet, my sidekicks on here. And let's talk about that Texas-Alabama game. Now, a lot of people are ready to take Alabama and flush them down the toilet and circle the drain. Let me tell you, it was a hot day in Texas. The Texas Longhorns were fired up to see Alabama in. See, that's the problem. When you're number one team, when you're the number one team in college football, everybody comes gunning for your ass. They're all psyched up. The cheerleaders, the band, the people on the seats are screaming and hollering. It's not like, down the road, Botech, junior college coming into play. These guys are going to have their game at top flight. Sarkanian and the Texas guys were so ready for Alabama to come in there. And it was a brutal game, but the way people were talking today and yesterday afternoon, oh my God, Alabama's season's over. Newsflash, Alabama won the game. Was it pretty? No. Did they cover the bet for Mr. Z and I? No, they stuck it right up our wazoo on that game yesterday. I had a feeling when I was betting that game, and I thought we were going to get the bet down at minus 19 or something like that. In other words, laying the point. And Alabama had to win by 19 points if we were going to cash our bet. And Mr. Z comes back from the casino and he sends me a picture of the ticket. We got 20.5 points. I'm like, fuck, how are we ever going to cover this thing? We got like two great teams locking it up. And Mr. Z, I knew we were screwed. Sadly, well, we're going to talk about that haunted and, the expectations that people have for the Cowboys every season and everything like that. But the Alabama game, they were gunning for them. when I turned on that TV or that clicked in on the internet at 10 a.m. and I saw that score, it's like 10:30 in the morning, and I saw that score was 10-10 in the first quarter. You know what I said to myself? We've lost this bet. There's no way that if it's tied up right now, there's no way that Alabama's going to win by 20 and 21 points and cover our bet. It was our only losing bet of the day, but it sure as hell put me in a sour frame of mind. But going forward, everything got better as the day went on. Let that be a lesson to you. A team in college football is never as good as you think it is, and a team is never as bad as you think it is. Okay? 20.5 points is a huge amount of points to cover by teams that are extremely well coached, and coaches that don't want to be embarrassed by being blown out. Lesson learned from me. Lesson learned from me. How did I do in NFL? I don't do NFL at this point in time. We're just strictly putting down college football. We are, Justin. We're wrapping up what we've done and the way that things came down for the week. But I'm just telling you guys, the lesson of this is when you have two very well coached football teams, beware of big lines for big spreads on those games, okay? Because I knew within a millisecond of clicking in on the internet and seeing that score, I knew we were done. I texted Mr. Z and I said, we're fried, man. Our catfish is fried right here here in Texas. And they never really crawled out of that, but Alabama won the game. The good news for Texas is that they controlled the run game on the ground for Alabama. Okay? And beyond the run game for Alabama, what do you have? You got no real wide receivers or anybody right now. They're so lacking in people that can catch the deep ball and go down. It's going to be problematic. Do I think that Alabama should be the #1 team in the country? No, I don't. Because they're lacking some key components in there. Does that mean that I think Alabama's a bad team? No, man. They're going to get their wins. But if you saw the Georgia game and the way that Georgia took care of business, there's a big difference between Georgia and Alabama at this point in time, okay? So let's continue on now. They controlled that run game, but the bad news for Texas, they got an injured quarterback who's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. And the backup quarterback is sketchy, so I'm not exactly thinking Texas is going to have a great role forward here. But Alabama's defense as usual was wonderful. It was top flight. The Longhorns had a hard hitting offense, but it just didn't cut it. But they do need wide receivers or they're going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble here. Now, let's talk about Appalachian State down here in Boone, North Carolina. Y'all like, where the fuck is Appalachian State? Where is it, guys? It's high up in the mountains of North Carolina, okay? It's the highest elevation stadium east of the Mississippi River, okay? 3,300 feet above sea level. And these guys can play some kind of football in Appalachian State. But let's not get carried away here. If you were to examine the game the way I did and watch the highlight, update your Vegas, you might be missing viewers. Oh, I thought I fixed that. Let me fix that. Okay, hold on a minute. Thank you. I thought I fixed that before. I guess I didn't save it. It says that. It says Vegas here. I don't know what the hell's going on. Am I in the wrong damn one? Let me see something here. Thank you. See what the hell I got going on. I don't know why that one is like that. Let's see what the hell's going on here. Let's edit this mofo. Yeah, it says Vegas here. I don't know what's going on. Let me see if I can... Yeah, that thing doesn't even save it. It's weird. I don't know. That's strange. Let me see something. Oh, Bama fan. I don't know what the hell happened here. Why I can't edit that. Ain't that weird? Let me try one more thing here. Do 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 do. See something here. I wonder why it's doing that. That's weird. Let's see. Huh. Strange. I guess we're just going to have to live with that and work that out afterward. I see it on there, but ain't that weird? That I can't edit that. Huh. Oh well, we're just gonna have to live with it. We can't worry about it. I don't know what the hell happened. The whole thing got messed up tonight, but you know, we're gonna have to figure it out. As we go forward, we'll get better. I just, you know, I counted on this thing and it's just all like a mess right now. So let's see. Yeah, every time I click on it, it just doesn't really allow me to do it. Let's try saving that first, see if that changes it. And then we'll come back and do it again. I don't know how in the hell that happened. Maybe that did it, I don't know. That's about all I can do for trying to take care of it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, thank you. We're all set here. So where did we leave off? I'm a Bama fan, and we should have lost that game. We should be ranked 3rd or 4th. Well, let's just say this, GBJ. No team is as bad as they look when you think they're great. No team is as great as you think they are, and no team is as bad as you think they are in there. Is Alabama going to bounce back? Yeah, I mean, remember, they can get some people through the transfer portal and get some people to come and update it. Yeah, they can get some people to come in there, but the problem, they're always going to have a stellar defense. It's always going to be hard to score on Alabama, okay? And Texas came loaded for bear. Let's get on to Appalachian State now. They play in Boone, North Carolina, and they were playing in Texas, so Texas A&M. And the thing that I want to tell you is that here is my theory again. A team is not as good as they appear to be if you just look at the score. If you look at the score, Appalachian State, that they won the game, it doesn't tell the whole what went on in the game. There were lucky fumble recoveries that were made by Appalachian State. If you take away one or two like freaky fumbles that were in that game, Texas A&M would have won that game. It does not mean that Appalachian State is not going to be good. It just means they're not as good as just beating Texas A&M would tell you what. Yeah, they played good defense, but they got some lucky breaks on some fumbles and some punch throughs and tip balls that came in for interceptions and returned for touchdowns. You've got to be able to go in and look at more than just the box score on a game. They have tons of freshmen on that team, which is a tribute to how naturally talented the guys are. They're going to be a great next year team. Do I think that they're going to be ranked because of this game? They might pop in to the top 20, top 25, but you know, coaches, and when they do the polls, they look a little more than just at the score. But it's quite a tribute to have knocked off Texas A&M. But if you go look at the game highlights and you go look at the game, you're seeing a case where a team got some lucky breaks that really helped them put the ball in the end zone and capitalized on some Texas A&M mistakes. I don't know what to tell you about Wisconsin. It's still early in the season. They were of course disappointing in their loss, but you know it's a long season, and I can't get too upset about that. I was talking about Casey. I was talking about Nebraska, and we know that Frost got fired over there. Frost is a good guy. Casey Thompson is really doing pretty well for Nebraska, but the problem is that their defense is just not really playing well at all. But you know, to lose 45 to 42, when you're a big 21 point favorite before the game, and just before kickoff, a 23.5 point favorite. How much money has been lost on Nebraska? That's what the hell I would like to know going forward. So chime in if you got something to say about that. So that covers Appalachian State, which also brings me, I want to talk about the USC game where they played Stanford this weekend, and I caught the highlights of that. And you would think by the end of the game that Stanford had become competitive. I think 41 to 28 or something was the final score on that. But the problem is, if you want to really judge, and here's a tip that I think really pays off for me when it comes to handicapping. Forget about the scores of the second half of a football game. If you want to see what a team is really capable of when they have all of their first team players in, look at how they do for the first half of the game. Because how many times have we seen guys come into a game in the second half, second and third string, and they're not putting the points on the board anymore? Their defense gets a little raggedy. They're giving up points. And it might help you if you're betting the over-under, it might be a good way to get a good over bet on the points. But I want to tell you, it really ruins a lot of spread bets. When people are betting spread bets, like the line, like the -8, the -9.5, or the -13.5, or the -17.5, like that first team is going to be in the whole game. And that's not the case at all. You know, North Carolina, I'm not talking about Chuck E. Cheese here. I'm talking about football, okay? I mean, let's keep it real, all right? I mean, I hit the wrong thing here. Let me fix this for a minute. You're all taken care of. Just keep on the subject. I got a lot of ground to cover here tonight, and through the week there's a lot of people that are going to want to hear this and take note, because, well, it was another good weekend for me. 5 bets, of which 4 of them cashed, and we've already tripled our original bankroll. So yeah, I got a few things to say about betting. So beware when you're betting, and understand. See, I have so many people that are like, oh, they played so great the first half, and then what the hell did they do in the second half, right? I had the under on the Stanford, not me, I'm saying I heard somebody say, I had the under on the USC Stanford game, meaning that the total number of the points in the game would be under, like, I don't know, 52 points or something like that. And they easily went over 52 points or whatever in the game. And I said to them, well, you know, how do you pick the over-under? Well, I don't know. I just look at how they do in the first quarter, you know, and I figured out and multiplied. I'm like, dude, you know, when they put the second and third teams in, when they're up maybe by 20, 25, 30 points, like USC was up, the hell were they up, like 30 to 10 or something? They're going to put their second and third team in, and they're going to give up some points, and that's going to ruin your spread bets and things like that. So it's something to be aware of when you're betting in here. Beware those second halves when it comes to the over-unders. Florida, Kentucky. The week before, Florida kicked ass. They were the golden child of the NCAA football world. And they come in this week and they get knocked off by Kentucky. Now the deal on Kentucky is, once again, a team is not as good as it appears to be by a box score, and Florida is not as bad as it appears to be on a box score, because what did Florida do? They had a lot of tips, and they had some freaky tips and picks that got like batted weirdly and knocked into another guy's arm. If you were to replay that game 5 times over the next 5 weeks, I think that Florida would win every one of those games. This is what I say. You cannot just look at the box score of a game, look at the points and all that, and just deduce from that how well a team played. What people aren't examining when they're sports betting is more closely what the turnovers are. How about the penalties? Give an example. Tennessee playing in Pittsburgh, right? Smash mouth football. They're carrying guys off the field, right? Faces are twisted up, feet are turned backwards. They're beating the hell out of them. Tennessee should have won that game by like 3 touchdowns. Okay, why didn't I? Didn't they win by 3 touchdowns? Because every time that Caden Slovis backed up to throw a deep ball, he knew in his mind that if he just threw the deep ball down the field, there was a good chance that the Tennessee defenders were going to have their hands all wrapped into the receiver and draw penalty after penalty after penalty for defensive pass interference. I've never seen a team that was so grabby for the ball and just penalty after penalty, and given Pitt field position on the 20, 25, 28-yard line, and Pitt's taking advantage of that and winning. These guys, the most costly guys on the team for sports bettors, are the defenders, the deep ball threat defenders with their pass interference. Now you say to me, Rosie, fucking idiot, you go racing down a field with a guy that can do a 10-6, 100 down. You try keeping up with him, turning your back to the ball, keeping an eye on the defender, the receiver. He could take a cut at any time. And you see if you can't help it get wrapped up. That's the difference between high-performance football and football that gets all tangled up. If Tennessee can get those defenders from committing so many deep ball fouls and still give fairly adequate coverage, they would, good night, Flan, they would absolutely be the cock of the walk. Because they showed a lot in that game, but their penalties hurt them a lot. So beware of teams that rack up penalties. Most people look when they put a bet down, and they might analyze how many penalties a team was penalized, how many yards. But they're not looking at the composition of those penalties. And I've seen in so many game after game after game that the great teams don't commit those deep ball penalties, but the overeager guys that are just foaming at the mouth and crazy and sort of can't contain themselves are the ones that are really getting wrapped up and causing hundreds of yards of damage in these situations. So this is what I want you to be aware of, that accidents, fumbles, and stuff like that can make a good team look bad, and they can make a mediocre team look great. And I'm telling you, when it came to the Kentucky-Florida game, I think if they were to play again next week, Florida would win. They would have much better ball handling and much better ball control. And I think that they would have beaten a Kentucky team. It's not to take anything away from Kentucky. I guarantee you, Kentucky has a lot to be proud of. BYU. This gonna be a big game coming up. Brigham Young University, BYU, was playing Baylor. I happened to catch some of that game last night. Man, what a barn burner. BYU's missing like two of the best players on their team and stuff, and they're still coming out with game, and they are just they're so. Did you ever notice that these great teams, there's just no giving? The Pat Narducci Pitt teams, there's no give up in them. They take off the first string quarterback. Calvin Slovis is hauled off the field. The guy can hardly walk. They put the second string guy in. This guy starts to perform miracles. They believe in themselves. They're just so freaking beautifully coached that they have that depth that goes through and they get the job done, and there's no give up. If most teams, if your first string quarterback goes out, it's like lights out, Gracie. We must just play for the beer at the end of the game, the beer and the pretzels. But the great teams don't do that. They hang in and know as long as they got life, like South Carolina Gamecocks playing against Arkansas State, same kind of deal. Arkansas should have beat them 100 ways to Sunday, right? But the Gamecocks just kept hanging. Rattler, the quarterback, they just kept hanging on there. So BYU Baylor was a great game, and I'm going to tell you, it was a very brutal game. But if I had to pick a team that's going to go out there and fight like a dog and be a tough competitor every single game, no matter who the opposition is, I would be very comfortable backing BYU, and they got a game coming up this week. So I contrast like that with Notre Dame, who went down in flames against Marshall. And I'm sorry, Notre Dame, it ain't gonna cut it. Okay, this quarterback Buckner, sophomore kid, he just doesn't have the chops to get the job done, and I might as well just call it. Okay, Notre Dame's got a decent defense, but it's got to stay on the field all the time because Notre Dame is like 3 and out. All right, same kind of deal. They just don't have the coaching to get in there and be competitive and raise that up. Yeah, any team with cock in the name sure has balls. Well, they fought to the end. Rattler, the quarterback for SC. So, and talk a little bit about the Oregon State Fresno game. I watched some of that at the end of last night. Two really doggedly determined teams, and Oregon State won because they've got better receivers downfield and the quarterback can throw the deep ball. But Fresno State is about that close from being really a top flight in the Mountain West there. And I'll tell you, I like what I saw last night, but Fresno State, the penalties, the pass interferences, the hands, just a mess. Okay, they're giving these guys these deep balls with penalties, and they're not making fair catches on it and things. So they need to work on their defensive skills when it comes to the deep ball and how they're going to handle that, because almost every time they throw the ball down, it's going to be a penalty, a defensive pass interference penalty. West Virginia had a meltdown. They were throwing the damn ball away. I mean, the hopes are so high for them after their great performance against Pitt, and it's just like they went into a letdown mode, because I don't think that they're how do you lose a game in overtime by 13 points? because Kansas scores 13 points in like 50 seconds or something. How in the hell do you do that? Right? Yeah, we're talking about NC State. We're talk about Duke and all that. While you're here, I'll tell you about Duke, okay? Duke is another team, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. I got a lot to say about that, but let's talk about this Tennessee Pitt game and how you doing, Anton Smith. Everybody take a drink for a minute. All right. Tennessee, tough, and I think that they were a better football team than Pitt on the field, but the pass interference, as I said, and the fumbling is a killer for them. They should have won by like 14 to 21 points, in my opinion, running away. Pitt is a gritty team. It's well coached, but now they are really injured going forward. You better think really twice before you lay a bet on the Pitt Panthers because, well, who knows what shape Slovis is going to be in, and they got that backup quarterback that was limping too. Beware, okay? Don't just throw your money down on that deal. Anybody see the Boise State game? That was a good game too. Wow. Yeah. Now what are they doing? Yeah, they had a hell of a bounce back. That quarterback for Boise State really bounced back, but they need better special teams. Let's talk about Duke. Anton Smith down your way. Last year, Duke was fucking a pile of dog crap down there in North Carolina. And they were playing Temple, and Temple came into the game, the first game of the season, like a 7-point favorite against Duke. And Duke didn't allow them to score 1 point on them. That got my eye because we would have still cashed Mr. Z and I. We would have had the over-under in that game. But the deal is, they were just, even going into this game against Northwestern, they were like a 10-point underdog in there. Well, you don't have to be a Duke football fan. I'm just talking about things from a betting point of view. They were a 10-point dog in this game, and they came out on top. This is what good coaching did. They brought a new coach in there, and that coach has really got Riley Leonard, the quarterback, and stuff. They're almost like a well-oiled machine. Jordan Waters is a beast. Ran for 2 touchdowns. I mean, the wide receiver had 2 touchdowns, and Riley Leonard 13 for 24 and 240 yards. Put a star next to Duke. Okay, they ain't going to be number 1 in the country, but they're on their way up here. Ohio State, C.J. Stroud, and Arkansas 16 for 24, 351 yards. I don't think Ohio State, and I know I'm going to get some haters for this. Let's do a little triangulating here. It means we don't know how it'll be in the future, but we can see how teams perform based on how they played other teams and how those other teams went on. In week 1, Ohio State played Notre Dame at home in Ohio. All right. And it was a pretty close contest, something like 21 to 10, I believe it was, something like that. And then look what happens. Notre Dame goes on and gets their ass whipped by Marshall, another Morgantown, West Virginia team. Yeah, Holy Cross, just bear with me here. I'm just saying, I would have a little bit of concern that maybe Ohio State is not quite as good as they appeared because of that first week performance against Notre Dame. Okay, because Notre Dame can't move the ball now. The second-year quarterback, Buckner, this kid just is like a deer in the headlights. And I'm just wondering, the way other teams have, C.J. Stroud, he was 16 for 24, 350 yards on there. And but I just kind of wonder about Ohio State. So I would be very, I might fade a line against Ohio State here. I may take the points depending on who they're playing because they're going to continue to bet up Ohio State, and I'm not sure, they might run into some problems here. So Notre Dame losing to Marshall took a little bit of polish off of that first game against Ohio State. I'm just saying, don't hate me. Don't hate me, y'all. What else I got to talk about? I saw the Air Force game. They got to get their fumbles under control there. They won 41 to, like, I don't know, it was 10 against Colorado. University of Colorado is a pretty lousy team. But the game was wet, the ball was slippery, and the problem with Air Force is they have an all-running attack. And if you have a one-dimensional attack, it can give you problems in the future if you get a defense that's really good against the run, and then you have to start throwing the ball, you can have a few problems. In conference, I think that they're going to do good, but I don't think that they're the Air Force of I don't think they're the Air Force of the old aerial attack days. They're just all on the ground. But they got a real beast in there. But like I said, it's all running back. Let's see. Yeah, well, the one that I thought was embarrassing was Incarnate's word 55 in Nevada 41. I mean, who in the hell ever heard of, Incarnate State? I mean, is Nevada that bad? At 41. University of Cincinnati is going to be tough. Do you see what I have right there? Cincinnati going to be tough. How about that, Justin? Right there. All right. I'm just telling you. That's a really good team. The Bobcats there. So let's get on to and let me tell you what we did with the betting this week. We had everything was laying the points this week. We had Alabama minus 20.5. We lost. We had Arkansas. I think it was about 8 points, something like that. We won against South Carolina. We won that one. We had who in the hell else did we have? I didn't see the Tampa game, Tim. I'm going to check the highlights. But what else did we had? We had Air Force. We had Air Force in 17.5. They went off by, I think they won by about 30 points in that game. And we had USC, which I thought was going to comfortably handle the 9.5 points, which they covered with ease. But again, they put second team in, and they're letting Stanford. One more touchdown, and Stanford would have covered the spread. Would have blown the spread. Okay. So beware of these second halves. Sometimes you don't want to really have like a super blowout. Sometimes it can work against you. What else did we have, Mr. Z? What else did we cash on? Damn, I can't remember. We had a fourth game that we cashed on. Oh, the Tennessee. We had the Tennessee and the 7. Yeah, we had the Tennessee and 6.5 on that. So we cashed on that one too. So teams that I really think to keep an eye on: Tennessee. Definitely a team to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on Duke, depending on who they're playing. Keep an eye on Ohio State for a potential fade. Okay, I don't think they're in the same league with Georgia. All right, I think Georgia's just elite. Okay, they're just an elite ass program in here. All right, there's no two ways about it. I think Pitt's going to have a tough go of it because people have seen that. They are vulnerable. I mean, Pitt's quarterback was on his ass more than a Las Vegas hoe on a Friday night. Okay, I mean, this kid was so beaten up. And this team is supposed to have a great offensive line and stuff, and they could hardly get the protection on this guy. So that's a game that I think of. BYU, I'm going to put a gold star next to BYU because I think you're going to have a hell of a time beating BYU, no matter who the hell they are, because this team just does not go down easily. Okay, Baylor's biting off yards, and just having a hell of a time getting established against this team. Just order for the Vegas or a little bland. Okay, there you go. All right, Mr. Z, that's awesome. So They're the ones I got. I'm not gonna Gold Star Appalachian State. I'm just too early on that. Oregon State. Oregon State really has an excellent quarterback, and they've got some really kick-ass deep ball threats. I'm gonna Gold Star Oregon State too. Danny Marino, best QB Dolphins had. Dan Marino. All right, so let's talk about the pro game today. Jaguars versus the Washington Commanders, and Wentz looked pretty damn good. He looked pretty damn good out there, and the only problem with the Jaguars, Etienne, he kind of had Butterfingers in there at the game, and the Jaguars have no red zone defense. That's a real problem for them. Trevor Lawrence, Clemson, he's getting better and better. Don't be too quick. Here's my point of this. Don't be too quick. Betting against Jacksonville's been almost an automatic. Ding, ding, ding. Fade them. Take the point, take the whatever. It's not the same team this year. Okay, I'm just saying, I was pretty damn impressed with the way that they stood today, and they just barely lost that game today. So I would not be quick to fade them. Trevon Martin, outside linebacker for Jacksonville, is an absolute beast. I would definitely keep an eye on Jacksonville. I really liked what I saw in that game today. Dolphins and the Patriots. Tua. Say what you will about the guy. He's the only guy that's beaten Bill Belichick 4 times. I'm just saying, this guy's got something. All right, I'm just saying. Miami defense is going to get them far, far, far. That is one of the best defenses in the league. And I tell you what, the other thing that Miami does, and I tell you guys, turnovers are the killers in your sports betting. Miami does not cough up the ball. They don't turn over the ball, okay? I mean, they glue it in there. They lock it in. They bolt it in, and these guys don't lose. This is an important thing, okay? So I'm going to red star them because we know defense wins games and defense wins Super Bowls. And Tyreek Hill is just a fucking awesome receiver with great hands. And they got a good quarterback that can throw the ball. So if I'm going to be checking out the Dolphins often this year. Now, I didn't put any bets on the pro game because I like to see how they play. You can't judge a team by preseason. All right, because they're just testing people out to see who's going to be on the team and who's not going to be on the team. So you want to piss your money away on that? Go right ahead. What do we got here? Carolina Panthers. Carolina should have won today. Okay, but they need red zone defense help. Houston versus the Colts. It ended in a really, I don't know why football has 20-20. I don't play till you win the fucking game. You put two teams out for 60 minutes, you play in overtime, and then they're going to walk off the field. What is this, fucking soccer or something? Have a double overtime, triple overtime until somebody, just the next point scorers win. I mean, where the hell does a tie figure into the standings and things? So Houston played pretty damn good today. They looked pretty damn. Saints and Falcons. Hill for the Saints is a great running back, man. This guy. Mariota, the quarterback for Atlanta. I mean, the Falcons should have really won. It had a wild finish to it. The Falcons should have won. But again, losing the ball and all that. Yeah, we're going to get to the Bengals here on here. So I think when the Falcons tighten up a little bit, they're going to be a team that's going to contend this year. They did pretty damn good. My told you so game of the week. Who do you think that is? Who's the one I've been talking up this week? Up just below the Great White North up there, like left of Wisconsin and right of, I don't know what the hell it is, Montana or Dakota or whatever. The Vikings today knocking off the Green Bay Packers. Now, a lot of people are going to say, Rosie, the Packers always lose the first game or two of the year, and then they come bouncing in and they bouncing back. You reach a certain age when you're a quarterback, you lose the steps. You've been around so long, and I know you guys are out there screaming, what about Tom Brady? What about Tom? What about it? Okay? That's because you overlove the Cowboys here, okay? But I'm telling you, you can love Green Bay all you want to love Green Bay. But at the end of the day, Minnesota puts a better product on the field. Kirk Cousins, let me tell you, man, Justin Jefferson, woo, let's get down. Let's get down football. And it showed today. I think the Packers will get 8 wins this year, but it's not going to be, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to put it together. It was, oh, well, thank you, Craig. Good to see you. You love Green Bay? Love them. Okay, Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. Let me tell you, let me see if I had any notes on this game today. Pitt. TJ Watt. Whew. Have you ever seen a guy that's a more scarier son of a bitch than this guy? Can you imagine if you're at a bar and somebody says, hey man, move, I'm trying to get here to grab a beer off the bar, and you say, go away, asshole. What? Didn't you hear? Fuck. Sorry. Sorry, Mr. Watt. This guy's a wrecking machine for Pittsburgh. But they got to control this guy because this guy puts illegal hits on and shit like this. And this is a scary guy. This is like an atomic bomb on your defense. But this guy could get you to penalty hell and stuff like that. And I'm just saying, leading with the helmet and all kinds of crazy targeting. Beware. Take it down a notch on there. But Cincinnati, I mean, I can't, they went to the Super Bowl last year. And we saw what happened in the Super Bowl happen today. The pocket just, gets crushed in. And, right, you need to have better protection for the quarterback in that situation. What's up, Sean? With the Oilers and Packers. I'm saying if you don't get Cincinnati better protection back there, it's going to be a long season because you're forcing throwaways and picks and things like that. Burrow's a great quarterback. But if he's constantly under pressure and he's constantly harassed and he's scrambling and he's being dropped for big losses and stuff like that, how in the hell can you run an offensive game? Right. We saw what the Rams did. They made the Cincinnati line was Swiss cheese. Pittsburgh was running in there like there wasn't even any blockers for the quarterback and stuff. So they were better in the second half, but the blocked extra point, they wouldn't even have been in overtime if they hit the extra point. I mean, how do you not kick an extra point? I saw kickers today miss routine field goals all over the end. The kicking game, they can either hit a 61, but they can't hit a 24. They can't hit an extra point. Go figure on that. So I thought that was a pretty damn good game. I got there. Oh, I want to get to the 49ers today. I want to say something about the 49ers were in Chicago today, and it was a good Chicago win. I say that, and it's again, everybody's starting to hate on the 49ers, but this guy's a kid. Okay, this kid's stepping in to quarterback. He goes to he goes to Chicago. It's raining. The ball is slippery as hell. And this kid is still managing to keep them into the game and stuff. Trust me, you know, the Fields is going to be a great quarterback for Chicago, but Devon Samuel's a beast, and San Francisco will be okay. Trust me on that. So, anybody have any? You were so young when Brett was quarterback for the Baltimore. You mean Burt? Burt Jones? Yeah, but he just couldn't get the deal closed, Burt Jones in there. So, Trevor Lawrence. So, who was really gold star to me? Pittsburgh was gold star to me today. Jacksonville, I would not be so fast to fade Jacksonville Jaguars coming up, okay? I think they're going to be much more competitive. Dolphins look scary good. I haven't talked about the Ravens. I can't judge a lot about the New York Jets game today. I didn't see the Tampa Houston game, but I tell you, the expectations are always so high when it comes to the Cowboys that it's just disappointment. Johnny and Tom Brady. So I don't know. I have to look at the game and check it out. So we will be back on Thursday night. It's been a great hour here. Like I said, what did we do here? Week 2, we cashed Tennessee, we cashed Air Force, we cashed USC, and we cashed Arkansas. So we were 4-1 this week, with 4 wins, 1 loss, which brings our season total up to 11 wins and 5 losses. And those 5 losses, except for the Texas, Alabama, were like really micro razor edge stuff. So I'm feeling good. And we got 2 bets that would have won, but we couldn't get them down on the game. Things to worry about: Texas injuries. Be careful betting Texas Longhorns. Your quarterback is out for 3 to 4 weeks. Beware of betting Pitt. Okay, they're going to have a hard time now with who knows the extent of injuries that Caden Slovis has. What about Baylor? They're going to be solid, but look at it this way: BYU was missing their 2 best players, and they still managed to beat Baylor. Okay, BYU plays tough. Appalachian State, beware of overreacting to the Texas A&M win. I like this. I like the school. The program's always done good. LSU, Florida State. I don't know what to think about LSU. They're going to win their games, but what does it say about Florida State this year? Okay, that they went into that they beat LSU. We're going to have to check that out a little bit too. You think USC is going to take the Pac-12? It's not going to be Oregon. All right. Who else in the Pac-12 is going to give them a run for their money? Because I just don't think Oregon. I think that the portal has been a disaster for some teams because it stunted the internalization of their own recruiting and their own eyes on going out there and looking at guys that, up and coming. Now they're just grabbing teams through the portal. They're grabbing guys through the portal. And they put this Bo Nix in, and this guy's like a deer in the headlight. I don't care what he did this week. You get him up against a good team, not that shitbag team that it was playing against this week, and this kid's going to melt like a snowflake in there. Big Ten, Ohio State and Northwestern. I would say Ohio State, Sean, but I do not think, I think that Ohio State, triangulating on what was done in Notre Dame and what Notre Dame went on to disastrous weekend, and Ohio State not having so exciting an effort. Who did they play? Arkansas State? And I don't know. I think BYU could give him a hell of a game. I think there's just some. I think Tennessee could beat him. I really do think Tennessee could beat Ohio State at this point in time because this Tennessee quarterback can really heave that ball, and he's got some great receivers, and he's got real balls, and I think that. I really think that Ohio State is a big question mark in my head. And I think Florida is going to bounce back from just a freaky loss to Kentucky. I think they're going to be solid as a rock. So these are just some of my notes that I've made in the game. We will read Texas A&M and Texas Tech. Texas A&M lost to. We talking about it, Appalachian State here, but it was a freaky kind of win for them. So I think that they'll do okay. I haven't given a lot of attention to Texas Tech, so I still got to check that one out. But I think I'm getting a pretty good line on who's who. Hey, how you doing, Amelia? And I'm looking forward to seeing the games that are on this week too. A team, I think Colorado, I don't know who they're playing, University of Colorado. I think even if they got 50 points laid, even if they had 50 points, even if they were a plus 50 point dog, I would probably still take the spread on that. Yeah, they're Appalachian State. They're giving all the teams the run for their money. Yeah, they're a good solid team, but they've had, like in the Texas A&M game, they had some lucky bounces on some fumbles and some tipped passes that came into their arms. I just tell you what, if Tennessee can get their pass defense under control in the way of penalties, however it takes to do that, and I'm no expert because I saw hands all over the NFL today. Defensive interference, number 42, defense, pass interference, automatic first down, right, all day long. My Washington State they did damn good, Candy Smith. They did damn good. Damn good. Washington State can hold their heads up. I'll listen to football talk everywhere. Everyone else is fighting in here. Well, we're not fighting in here. We're doing good. You talked about what I would take Alabama over Georgia. You really would take Alabama over Georgia with no deep ball threat. And no, I think that they lost too big of a chunk of their offense, Sean. There's no deep ball threat there. Oh, okay, Amelia. Sean, Ohio State won, 21-10 against Notre Dame. Notre Dame went on to embarrass themselves against Marshall. No matter what you say, that loss that Notre Dame took takes some of the shine off of the Ohio State victory over Notre Dame. I'm just triangulating a little bit. Okay, I'm saying no team is as good as you think that they are, and no team is as bad as you think that they are. University of Kentucky, they're talking to town. It hasn't been that way. Well, again, they got a couple lucky breaks on tips and things. As I said, Sean, if Kentucky played again against Florida 5 times, Florida would probably win 5 times on there. They got some lucky tips, some balls knocked loose, and that's good play on their part. It was fun to watch when Mike Leach was there. I don't know, Washington State, the Bama game, Jackie Blue, I turned on that, clicked on, I forgot it was an early morning game, it's like 9:30, I click on the internet, I'm expecting to see Alabama up like 17-0 in 8 minutes into the first quarter. It's fucking 10-10. I'm like, oh shit, we're not cashing this bet today. I told Mr. Z, I told Mr. Z, I said, we're not cashing this today, man. We're dead right off the bat. There's no way 10-10 going deep in the second quarter. There's no way that we're cashing today. 20 and a half points, I was sunk. Lesson learned on that. So yeah, thank you, Sean. But it's a tribute to Texas. But now Jackie Blue, yeah, I sports bet. I'm doing a sports betting thing on Sunday night, wrap up for the weekend, and then on Thursday night we do the picks and talks about what's coming up for. Not laying all the picks out, but I'm giving my thoughts on the way I think that things are going to be going for the college and pro games coming up. I didn't do any pro forecasting because I can't do anything with preseason. I never expected to read what you thought on Missouri. I need to see him again. Saban went nuts. You know, I don't know how nuts he can go, Jackie Blue, because the defense was still stellar for Alabama. It was still a great they're still a great defense. Okay, they're a wonderful defense, but they've lost some offensive weapons. And Texas is a much improved team than they were. The problem with Texas now is they have an injured Sewers or whatever. I can't remember. He's injured for 3 to 6 weeks now, so that's going to take a major chunk out of the momentum Texas had. Just like the way that Pittsburgh was busted up is going to hurt them like crazy coming up. Been worried about every game. Oh, thank you, Amelia. You're so sweet, honey. Thank you for your support. Georgia did as expected, a bit worried about every game. Yeah, Cal Berkeley, who did they play? UNLV. I can't get excited, Sean. You know, they go 4-5 or whatever, and 5-5 maybe. Jackie Blue, I just think Georgia's just they're a pro level team. They're just an extension. They're like an expansion team for the NFL. Hey Jamie, I mentioned no, you're good. Nothing to apologize for, Sean. You're wonderful. Like I said, my teams that I gold star right now. And I tell you guys, if I'm a coach, keep your goddamn hands off of these passing, deep ball. You know, this is all that Caden Slovis did in the Pittsburgh game. Every time he threw that ball deep, he knew he had a 50-50. Two things were going to happen. One of two things. One of three things. He was going to overthrow the receiver, which probably wasn't likely. The receiver was going to make the catch, or the receiver was going to draw a defensive pass interference penalty. I never saw so much grabby shit by Tennessee. They should have won by 2 touchdowns at least. But their penalties kept putting Pittsburgh at the 25, 30, 8-yard line. So no, I don't think I'd bet on UNLV. No, I don't think so, at least not at this point. They used to have competitive football, Sean, but I don't know what it was. All the attention went to the pro teams. Jackie Blue, I don't think I would sweat Georgia too much. They're the cock of the walk. Let's ask a question. Who do I think on a freaky Saturday might have a chance to do an upset against Georgia? And they'll be playing Tennessee. Mark your calendar for that one. Because that team, that defense hit so hard that they were injuring Pittsburgh players left and right. There was like three first-string offensive linemen that got carried off, the center, the quarterback. Be fearful of Tennessee. Okay, there's a team. All right, Tennessee. Let me look over my list here. It's not going to be Arkansas. Ain't going to be South Carolina. I don't know if USC, the University of Spoiled Children, yeah, they won a championship in 1955, Sean. University of Maryland won in 1955. I keep an eye on USC potential because they have a really, I don't know, they just know football. They got tradition. They were kind of dog shitty the last couple of years, and everybody's like, oh, Stanford has a legitimate shot. They rolled over top of Stanford like they were nothing. Okay, so I think Tennessee, USC, Florida. I think Florida could. They're going to learn from that loss against Kentucky. They're going to learn to hold on to the ball, not fumble the ball, not throw it away. I think that you could learn from that. It's because Lincoln Riley's at USC, and the results already showed. So, but the problem is you've got the far western teams, and they rarely collide with the eastern teams. So it's hard to know the matchup. The University of Columbia, University of South Carolina Gamecocks. Well, that's their name. Okay, they were tough as hell. But Rattler can't do it all, and he was throwing the ball away. But I was sweating my bet. But I cashed Arkansas. Who else? BYU. You're thinking to yourself, Rosie, those Mormons ain't gonna beat my Georgia Bulldogs. Sometimes I think this team rolls with God. Sometimes I just think that these guys, there's something about the sum of the parts the sum is worth more than the individual parts. You watch that Baylor game where they don't even got their best two players on the team, and they are just, the defense is, their red zone defense is incredible. All right, there's another team to watch out for, BYU. All right. I'd like to say Oregon State because they just, I don't know, that quarterback and that deep ball threat, man. This Oregon quarterback can throw that deep ball so on the money. And he's got receivers that just have magnetic hands. They don't drop shit down there. No, I don't bet on pro because I need a little time under the belt for the season. Hey, Jen, how you doing? Oregon State impressed me a lot. And like I said, that weird West Virginia game. Who wins an overtime game 55-42? Won by 13 fucking points in an overtime? West Virginia had a meltdown. Was this the same team that played Pittsburgh? That's what made me a little shaky about Pittsburgh, is like, you know, I'm not sure. And I felt very comfortable. About taking Tennessee, going into the unfriendly confines of Pittsburgh there. So, Boise State, Bachlier, or whatever his name, and he's bounced back after an embarrassing first win. But they need to. They need better special teams work on Boise State, but they bounced back good. State, Arkansas, Alabama. I think Cincinnati's tough, and I like the way that Illinois beat Virginia, but none of those teams is in the same category as Georgia. Yeah, they've been hot, but again, I don't think that they're going to have what it takes to. Yeah, we haven't had to cry too much, Jackie Blue, compared to the crying they've done in other places. K-State, they're good. I'm just saying that Jackie Blue was asking me who I think could give Georgia a game. So those are the three: Tennessee, BYU, and I forgot the other one that I picked. Oh, and Florida. I think Florida could too. Ooh, so those are the three. No, I don't. Anton, there's only so many hours in a day. I got to review games. I'm looking at pro games. I'm deciding what the pro stuff looks like. People are like, why didn't you talk about picks for week 1? Because we're coming out of preseason. I don't know what the hell these teams can do. I saw crazy shit. I mean, Cincinnati should have won today, and the guy can't kick a fucking extra point, so Pittsburgh wins, but Pittsburgh's good. I mean, J.T. Watt's an animal. He's a uncaged animal in the field. I got to see all this stuff. BYU looked awesome. And they're only going to get better as the year goes on. They really, really, really super impressed me. And Fresno State's going to get better when they tighten up their pass interference penalties and all that. No, I don't really do the baseball right now. Florida State University. Florida State University. Well, I guess Florida right now from the swamp. I think Florida State, I don't think LSU is, I mean, it'd take a while to rebuild that program, just like Florida State. So those are the teams. Tennessee's going to be flying high coming off of that Pittsburgh win. And they don't really have the injuries that Pitt has. But boy, did Tennessee hit hard, though. Oof. It takes a lot to injure an offensive lineman, and 3 of them go out. Crazy. So, now here's what I said about, here's my takeaway from the pro this week. How many years have we faded Jacksonville? It's fuck, man. Oh, Rosie, they're 30-point underdogs. Fuck, bet it, man. They're going to lose by 42. Yeah, they lose. You know what I'm saying? You're always going to cash the bet on Jacksonville. It ain't your Pops Jacksonville anymore this year. I'm just telling you. Oh, that's cool. I'm Gold Star in Jacksonville today, and if they they just got to get better in the red zone. So I'm not going to be so quick to fade them this year. Pittsburgh is going to be good. But Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Baltimore, they're always good. They're always good. Dolphins, man, the amazing thing about the Dolphins, they just don't turn the ball over at all, which is amazing. Saints and Falcons. I also put even though the Saints won today, the Falcons should have won. So I put a gold star. Mariota, the quarterback for Atlanta, I think he's solid. Yeah, the Bears, Ms. Amy, we were talking about San Francisco, and people were freaking out. Oh, man, that's the end of the 49ers. You know, it was a wet field. This is a kid that's a quarterback for the Niners, and I think that they'll be okay. It wasn't a blowout, so on there, let me see my notes I made on that. I guess I just had that one in my head because I was watching the highlights, and it was raining like crazy. It was a really sloppy field, and I think that kid was very overmatched coming into his trying to run against a pretty good Chicago team there. So there it is. Yeah, I think he's going to make a difference, yeah. Texas to the Browns, he's suspended for, well, you know, 50, they spiked the ball, but it was the most. I've seen so much dumb shit, Sean. I saw the weirdest penalty I've ever seen in my life. The kicker for, was it the kicker for the Falcons? No, the kicker for the Bears was going to kick a field goal, and he got penalized for unsportsmanlike. The long snapper got penalized because he took a towel out on the field to dry off the place that they were going to hold the ball for the field goal, and he got a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct for bringing a towel onto the field to wipe off. Hey, Jolie. I mean, man, you talk about weird. So it was at Soldier Field. It was without a doubt. The 50 years I've been following football, without a doubt, it was the weirdest penalty I've ever seen in my life. Okay. Here's your pro level tip for handicapping this week, and you wonder why I look at the things that I look at. Penalties. But if you listen to other handicappers on football and stuff, they'll tell you, oh, you know, the Ravens were penalized for 85 yards, or the Packers were penalized only 45 yards. But what are the penalties? I don't give a shit about offsides or false starts. I start caring a little bit about holding. Man, the most costly penalties in football are the deep ball pass interference calls, because it's an automatic goal line situation. The flag goes out, and pass interference, number 43, defense, automatic first down. Jesus. I don't know who the most handsome. I'm going to check it out. Beware. You know, that was a real negative for Tennessee. That I actually think that Pat Narduzzi, the coach for Pittsburgh, actually worked that into his offensive plan, that when they got to a long situation or something, to throw deep and know that you've got a 50-50 chance of drawing a defensive pass interference penalty. And it worked. Who's the most athletic quarterback? For what? Pro or what? I think today Mariota for the Falcons and Tua for the Miami Dolphins. Trevor Lawrence. I think, and of course it goes without saying, Lamar Jackson. I wonder if I think they're going to win the Hunted Coyotes. My thoughts on the Steelers. They put a great product on the field. They're well coached. They got a good quarterback. They've got a stellar defense. TJ Watt is he's not even a human being, he's an animal. And I think that Pittsburgh is going to be a team to really be reckoned with, and I think that, like, the Ravens are really going to have their hands full with Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh's going to really have their hands full because the Ravens have better pass protection. They're going to have their hands full with Baltimore's got a much better passing defense now. They got two stellar standouts back there. And Lamar Jackson's put on 25 pounds, and this you saw today. He could throw that son of a bitch right on target down there. Oh, he tore oh, I didn't even see that part. He tore. He's done then. Okay, that's going to make a big difference. Okay, thank you, Twat. I didn't even catch that today. That's going to make a significant difference on that. So, yeah, he was overplaying, Twat. Does that make sense today? Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't too fired up with the Indianapolis Colts to a 20-20 tie with. I was more impressed with Houston today than I was with Indianapolis. I think Houston gets a minor gold star from me. So, what did you think of Twat Goblin? What did you think about the way that TJ Watt was way overplaying today? I mean, it was just like it's just uncontrolled mayhem, man. I'm not surprised he tore a pectoral muscle today. There just was no finesse to. He was like somebody I never expected to see play football, and I've seen some Mean Joe Green and Ray Lewis and Mad Dog Mike Curtis. I've seen some of the, he tore it rolling over at the sack of Burrow. It was a weird. That's going to cost Pittsburgh a lot. That's going to hurt. Wow, that's really weird. I'm going to have to go look up that injury, Twat Goblin. Damn, man. Atlanta, they should have won today against New Orleans. Hill's a great running back. For the Saints, he's excellent. Mariota's really impressed me today for Atlanta. And really, they should have won today. I mean, who in the hell misses an extra point? They shouldn't even have gone to overtime. Right? Mike's injuries hard on Vince Harden's team. He had a lot of injuries. Well, look at Pittsburgh, Sean. Pittsburgh came into 2022 the cock of the walk, and like a third of the team got carried off the field Friday. And the backup quarterback's limping around. Injuries are real. Look at the quarterback for Ewers for Texas. 3 to 4 weeks. You don't think that's going to make a difference in the Texas game? it's going to make an enormous difference in the game. Nobody likes injuries, but I'm just saying, when I was watching some of the highlights of the Pittsburgh game today, I was like, this TJ Watt is a real outlier, man. This guy is weird. This guy's like, after the, man, I never seen anybody that animated. I don't know. Yeah, they're limping around, Julie, like they took a stick to the nuts. I'm just saying that some of these injuries are pretty, you know, when teams look at the film of the Tennessee-Pittsburgh game, their takeaway is going to be two things. Pittsburgh's vulnerable to the deep pass for penalties, and Tennessee defense hits hard as fuck on the front line. They blitz a shitload. You know, Caden Slovis is on his back more than a Tropicana O down there on a Friday night. Yeah, well, if Najee Harris got hurt, they could be in trouble. Yeah, there you go, Sean. Buccaneers is injured. Well, I don't know, Sean. You know, the center's important, but family streams, we have no idea. We've never even heard them before, MK. So have a good one. Whatever the hell that is. Whatever that is. So the G. Harris got her. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go check out some of the injury reports there and check that out. So see what's coming up with that. Center is important. So there were some injuries today, but that'll all be reflected in the lines for next week's. I don't know, Julie. I've seen a lot of people. That do defense, but I never saw a guy that was so cranked up. It was almost like they ought to drug test this guy for amphetamines or something. I don't know. I never saw somebody so amped up ever before. Chiefs were going to suck with that. They were wrong. Hey, Brian, how you doing? You can't suck when you got a good quarterback that can make shit happen. So, J.J. Watt. Right? I mean, you take a guy like Mahomes is worth half of an offense on another team. These kind of guys make stuff happen, for sure. Absolutely, positively, for sure. Well, I think I've covered off everything that I wanted to do in the way of, as I said, my told you so game of the week was the Vikings. I've talked the Vikings up. I don't see loose tonight. I don't see deja vu in here. But Vikings certainly got it done today against a Packers team that probably took down a lot of money today. So take that for whatever it's worth. Give them a gold star too, because I'll tell you, the Vikings are going to go far in 2022, 2023. So if you've not hit the thumbs up button, please do so. As usual, if you're watching this on the after chat, make sure to sub up. Sunday nights and Thursday nights, it will not be so down and in depth in every single team. We will be looking at each one of them, just highlight ones that I think from a betting point of view will be ones to keep an eye on. Your Super Bowl pick, Buffalo Bills, plus 600. There you go. So on that note, I'm going to close it out here. Thanks so much for a fun time tonight, and I will see you guys tomorrow.